Yeah, well, be, do, have. The first time I came across it was in one of Robert Kiyosaki's books called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And I think what often happens is when we get up in the morning, we say, all right, what do I want to have? What do I want to have? If we find Aladdin's lamp and we rub it and a genie comes out, we have three wishes. You know, I want this, I want this, I want this. And we concentrate on a lot of what we want to have. And so people say, what do I want to do to get what I want to have? And what this conference really at MC Companies is designed to do is take a break from that and say, well, before I can have and before I can do, you know, who is it that I want to become? And a lot of us don't take time out for personal development. So the purpose really here is at MC Companies of this meeting isn't to go over vacancy rates, and it's not to go over, you know, performance and how do we increase the bottom line. It's really a chance for each and every member of the team to say, what do I want to become? So that's what personal development is all about. Well, fake it, you make it. That's pretty much my biography, okay? I'm still faking it till I make it. But words mean a lot, and actions mean a lot, and our physiology means a lot. And so when you talk about faking it till you make it, if I'm not that person, I can act as if. I have a great psychology friend who has a fancy name for it, like psychoneuroduplication or whatever that name is, but it's really when we say, hey, this is what I'd like to become, so I'm going to start acting that way. I'm going to use those words. I'm going to speak. If I want to be like Gandhi, well, I'll fake it and act like I'm Gandhi. If I want to be like Superman, I'll act like that. It's who do I want to become, and I'm going to change my words, my habits, and my thoughts as much as I can to hopefully become that person, and then maybe you make it. You don't have to fake it. I think that's one of the best questions that I've ever been asked. You know, when people go into investing and in entrepreneurship, and you start your own business, and you go into a venture like that, I'll tell you this, I don't know how it is for everybody else, but for most of my friends and myself, it will stretch you in ways. It will find your weaknesses and exploit them. And what happens is you find out it's about spirit, often. When you have Steve Jobs taken out of his company, or the spirit left, you bring it back in, the spirit's there. So the reason that I don't think you separate this business project from personal development is because by participating in business, trying to serve people, trying to give value, it stretches you, and there are failures and there are mistakes that I think people often find that what starts out as a professional or monetary or an entrepreneurial journey becomes very much a spiritual journey of personal development. It's almost unavoidable. So that's why we tend to work on ourselves. You know, that's not my concept, being a service station. When I was 19 years old, I spent 3 weeks in a church, heavily immersed in a church environment where I had a wonderful leader named George Durant. And had a huge impact on me in that 3 weeks. And that's really his phrase. He said he used to work in a service station. When we think service station, you know, change your oil, do your windows. But he said, I don't want to misquote what he said, but it was something like this. He says, you know, I think that captures one of the greatest terms ever. To say, hey, I'm a service station, and we could all be that in our business, in our homes, with our friends, is, hey, I serve you. I'm here to serve you first. And boy, there's opportunities in every direction to do that. So that really comes from a great mentor of mine, George Durant. Be a service station in all that you do. Well, you know, if I'm ever on my deathbed and my son's come to me and said, Dad, you got any advice? I think the thing I'd tell him is to pay attention, because there's only really 2 moments in life. It's very important to be present and think about these. The first moment is inconsequential, where what I do, what I say, what I think isn't really going to have much consequence. There's other moments in life that we find ourselves in that can be turning points that can define the rest of our life. And what I found in my short experience is we often confuse the two because we're not paying attention. A person goes to McDonald's and they're looking at the menu as if it was the most important, you know, and I'm behind them saying, hey, you know, Big Mac, filet fish, you know, it's all calories. It's not going to make a difference. And yet when your daughter comes home with that guy, you know, that could be defining, right? So often we treat the most consequential and defining moments casually, and we miss the defining moments. So the way to do that, I think, is to do the best you can in paying attention, because often something as inconsequential as seeing someone in need or lifting another, or an opportunity to serve, might be taken as casual, where it could define and have procession in that person's life or yours. Well, I think the biggest thing is when you decide what you want to invest in, it's a lot like when you go to Costco and they say, here's a little free sample, and you try a little bit and you see how it tastes. And I think before someone says, well, I just want to make a lot of money, maybe find something that they enjoy doing. You know, I know this. There's the result and there's the process. Well, everybody wants good results, more money, more time, lifestyle, freedom, all that entrepreneurial reward stuff. But you also want to see the process. If you're going to be in real estate, are you comfortable, or do you want to develop a comfort with dealing with people in debt and using debt as a lever? And so with each asset class, I recommend people read a book on it, study it. With primarily you asked about paper assets like stocks and options. I think one of the best things people can do is get a virtual account. You have real stocks, real strategies, real charts, and begin reading a book or two and learn a little bit about it and practice. And there's good and bad to that. First, it's good because there's no risk. If you mess up, there's no risk. Bad part is if you do well, all the money's virtual, so you can all go buy a virtual Ferrari for a while. But I think that and it's just my opinion, that everyone wants to be rich. Well, business, paper assets, real estate, commodities, maybe dip your toe in the water a little bit, start talking to people that do it, and then that'll help narrow down your decision. But to just do it without any experience, just because you want to make a lot of money, you might not stay with a process you don't enjoy, even though you might like the result. Well, that's the big question everybody talks about on CNBC. I have one guy saying it's going up, another guy saying it's going down. The way we approach the next year is we look at a couple of things. The first word I'll use is it's a vocabulary word for us called fundamental analysis, where we say, what's the strength of the economy? What's the strength of businesses? And there are some things that off in the distance, there's some storm clouds that I'm concerned about. So if I were a new investor, the very first thing I learned is about risk management. I'd say, hey, if I'm going to get in investing, what do these storm clouds look like? The other thing we look at is what we call technicals, and that's trends. We have to invest in what we see. And so while we might have some nervousness, that doesn't mean we take our ball and go home. We get good risk management. We come very aware of trends. So as a person educates himself on how to see what we call these fundamentals, these numbers that tell us how things are doing, and also technicals, which are the trends, a person can become very comfortable in hopping in and learn a little bit and investing. I will say, if you're asking for more predictions, I do think the market we've had as far as stocks concerned has just been a roaring market. It's been one of the record type markets we've ever had. I do think it'll slow as the Federal Reserve changes the interest rates. I think it'll slow a little bit, and I think there's possible, if there were the right catalyst, that we could have a nice pullback. And those that are educated will benefit from that pullback, and those that aren't will be hurt by it. So I guess there's never been a more important time to become more educated on what you're putting your money into than today. Never been more important.